Alright guys, I have a hot take. Alright, don't kill me for this, but I think the Werehog is actually pretty good.
Oh brother, this guy stinks!
Yeah, I know. The Werehog has always been regarded as the one major flaw of Unleashed, and you know what? I can see why. It's a completely different gameplay style from anything we've been used to from this franchise. The Werehog's gameplay closely resembles a more, I'd say a platform-heavy God of War game than anything else. But I don't really think that's a problem because I think on the Werehog's own terms, taken by its own merits, I think it's pretty fun. And I have a few points here that hopefully can prove my case. The platforming is probably my singular most favorite aspect about the Werehog. The platforming is actually surprisingly well made. Well, I'll say surprisingly, but no, this is Sonic Unleashed, so everything in it is peak. The platforming in the Werehog levels focus a lot on acrobatics. You'll be jumping, sliding, tightrope walking, swinging, all over the place. And I think it's really fun. At least personally, I think it's really fun. What really makes the platforming so fun is the fact that you can actually be very speedy in it. See, I think a common misconception, which I think is because of a skill issue, is that people say, oh, the Werehog is so slow, and you can't, these levels take forever. That's really not that true. I mean, sure, on your first playthrough when you're not familiar, yeah, it might take a while, but I think the platforming can have a lot of potential when it comes to speedrunning. Well, not even just speedrunning, just making it faster. As I said in my other level design videos, just optimizing the runs. For example, the rooftop run tower climb. Yeah, it can be played slow and methodically, and it probably will be on your first playthrough, but if you go through it a second time, you can blaze through this section in an instant. It's so incredibly satisfying. Also, tech tip, for ledges, if you press the jump button when Sonic attaches to it, you'll spin jump off the ledge. This is extremely useful for going fast through all the platforming sections. Hey, I got more tips as well. For example, a lot of the combat moves can be repurposed as platforming moves. For example, the uppercut. You can use the uppercut to get to higher places that normally you would need to push a box for, or double jump, or do whatever else you need to do. Another good one is in the air, punch, jump. There's a little tornado spin move. That move can be used to skip certain platforming sections, or just get through them faster. Hey, and if you like these tips, don't forget to subscribe. I'm trying to hit 500 subscribers. Alright, and with that shilling out the way, let's get to the next section and talk about the next facet of the gameplay. As said before, the Werehog is very inspired by God of War, and this might be my biased opinion because God of War is my favorite action game series of all time, but I don't really think that's a bad thing, and I think the combat does a good job and puts its own little spin on things. For starters, I would like to mention that a lot of these combat encounters are skippable. Like I said before, there is a misconception that the Werehog levels are super long and slow, but I mean, if you just run past a lot of the enemy encounters, you can keep the flow up, and when you do have to fight the enemies, I think the combat is engaging enough to where it's not a problem. As with most action games, you have a light attack and a heavy attack, and you can combo these buttons together to create a whole bunch of different combos. There are actually a very decent amount of combos in this game actually, and you can search them all up on the wiki or by just leveling up and looking at your move list. And all these moves serve their own purposes. For example, there are some moves that are launchers, like the Werehog can. I wonder what that's a reference to. There are also moves that stun, moves that knock enemies back. You see, I think if people engaged more with the combat, it would be looked at more fondly. But to be fair, I do agree that it takes a long time for the combat to really start getting going, because when you start at level 1, you basically have like, 3 moves max, and it feels very limiting. Very limiting. But overall, I think the combat's pretty solid. I mean, it's not gonna win any awards or anything like that. It's no God of War, but it's still pretty fun. I do think the enemy variety could be more, but the enemies that are here are pretty fun, except for these fucking fire wizards. Overall, I think the combat's fun, does what it's designed to do, and hey, it's already better than anything in Frontiers. This last section isn't really gameplay per se, but I do think it adds to the gameplay, and that's the atmosphere. The atmosphere in these levels is impeccable. The music, the visuals, they all meld together to create an absolutely immersive experience. And now, thanks to the PC port, you can play these levels without having to listen to that goddamn battle theme over and over and over again. I think for sure the platforming benefits the most from the atmosphere. For example, levels like Jungle Joyride, Night, man, it's an ethereal experience. This is Sonic Team at its best when it comes to visual design. Not only that, but there's also really cool background details as well. This is also in the day stages as well, but for example, in Rooftop Run, you can see the clock tower way in the distance before you even get to it. In Cool Edge, at the end of that level, that's the entrance to the boss arena. And in this DLC act for Missouri, you can see Eggman's base in the background. It's little details like that that really make the levels all the more engaging. And with that, closes out my thoughts on why the Werehog really isn't as bad as people say it is. The Werehog has great platforming, decent combat, amazing music and visuals, and I think it all comes together to create a unique experience that you can't get in any other game. So hopefully, you guys decide to give it another try. And if you like this video, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe for more Sonic content. And with that being said, I shall see you in the next video. Bye bye.